så är det inte för sig och så är
Welcome, everybody, to episode 5 of the JPDUB podcast. Joining me today is Sreten. Say what's up, Sreten.
What's up, dickheads?
Oh, God, he's such a fucking gentleman. Yeah, right. We also have Bruiser Bodi. What's going on, Josh Bodi?
What up? How you all doing?
We're doing
You guys
great.
are sexy.
Yeah, and our special guest on this episode is a veteran of the extreme metal underground in the Midwest. He's been in bands, if you're familiar with bands like Hideous, Horrific, Demise, Lividity, and actually more currently, Necrolytic. Hopefully I said that right. If not, then shame on me. Matt Bishop, welcome to the program, brother.
What's up, man? What's up, everybody?
What's
Cheers,
going on?
cheers. Good to see everybody, man. Good to see everybody, man. Cheers. Got the coffee
Fuck
going.
yeah.
Cheers.
I got some LaCroix and some Budweisers on the reserve.
Nice, man. It's good to see everybody, man. Like I said, it's been a lockdown. It's the most social I've been probably in 2 months.
It's good. It's good to, I guess, get out there, so to speak, and, do this shit. And it's weird because we do another show based in pro wrestling called Juice Pro Wrestling Podcast. And so when this whole thing started going down, me, Bodi, and Sreten, we usually did recorded video from our studio. We had like these high def cameras and shit. We never fucked with any of the Zoom or anything. So all the times that we had to do phone interviews with guests, and we could have been doing this shit the whole time so people can see your lovely faces. It's been a learning curve, but I'm glad that at least this is something good that came out of it.
Oh, fuck yeah. And I wondered how long it was going to take before like the talk starts going to fucking 80s wrestling.
Don't get me started on 80s
Oh
wrestling.
man, it's funny.
I did, it was pretty funny. I'm thinking about that actually today and shit like that, man. It's like fucking I saw the Ric Flair documentary and it was going down. I almost watched it, man. I had a little more time, man. So, but anyways.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah.
It's good shit, man. It'll get you. Like I said, we had Mike DeSalvo on episode 4. He was like, we were going to end. He's like, oh, what? We're not going to talk about fucking wrestling? I'm like, it's a different show. So we had
it's a
to
tie-in.
Yeah. We had to bring him in, and he cut one of the episodes of Juice Pro with us. So that was a good time.
Oh yeah, man. Fucking old.
But Matt, dude, you were so big and influential into a lot of us in the metal community around here. I mean, not just as a guitarist and vocalist, but the organizer of Central Illinois Metalfest. I kind of want to dive into your history with growing up playing, what influenced you, what bands in particular, the typical shit. But I also want to get into what led you to doing your own show, your own festival, and all that good shit. So without further ado, please indulge us with some information.
I think it's always it's always the biggest thing about doing your own festival. No one books you on theirs.
I know.
You know, man. And,
Miguel, if you're out there listening, I know.
Oh, you got him.
No, it's not. I'm actually Necrolytic's playing. The Chicago. We were always supposed to.
Yeah.
So we'll be playing next year.
Assault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, I hope it goes on, man. I mean, I just like I said, but dude, it's right place at right time, man. It's recently I've just been asking. I was even asking the lady about like some of the posters and stuff like that, and been thinking about it. And it's been, man, it was just a different time, man. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I think people are a little more open to new bands.
Yeah.
A lot. You know what I mean? It was easier to afford like some of these bigger acts. Right now, man, you're putting the house on the mortgage now.
Oh, dude, yeah. If you go,
Yeah.
like you said, going down, I actually right above me have 2004's lineup. That was the first one back when you had us with Decrypt. That was like that was right when I first joined the band, and that was my first major fucking festival, and you know, we obviously did more after that. I was like, oh my god, like.
Well, that was cool. What was cool about that poster is that was like one I haven't seen, and like I've seen the other ones like, you know, here and there, but that was one I haven't seen like in a long time. And it's like, I mean, it was a good time, man. And you know, I was able to do it without ripping anybody off. You know, I mean, I only really had 1 year I lost my ass, but no one else would have known it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it influenced some other things, you know, man. And then, you know, I think like anything, you step away. It was never about ego. I mean, do I miss it? Yeah. But I mean, I remember the last 2 years is like, I don't know, but you know, we were all be on the side of the stage, man. And I'm sitting here by the end of the day, I'm sitting on the side of the stage, me and the lady asleep on like little stools, man. It's just like, you know, it was time, man. I didn't see anywhere I could go without basically breaking the bank.
Yeah.
And I twiddled with bringing it back, right, when, you know, Shane was for his first year. And then I was just like, man, dude, that's my boy. I'm not going to even why compete. You know, because, man, he's taking a hell of a risk trying to do what he's doing. You know, so I figured it's better for me to support than sitting there and trying to make, like, you know, then you would have, like, the Chicago thing, someone right in the middle of that, then someone, like, in the middle of that. So, you know, man, I run, man. It was like, you know, it's sometimes just better to bow out.
Yeah, I mean, a hell of a run. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, just
9
the
years,
line.
man, 9 years.
9 fucking
would have been
years.
10, but I canceled 1 year, so it would have been 10. You know,
what was the reason for the cancellation? Just personal shit.
Yeah, just you know, just things where I did. It just some of the scheduling was behind, a few different changes and stuff like that, man. So it was after the year that I actually didn't make a whole lot of money, to where I was like, it was a little bit of a stress on the pocketbook afterwards. So we were just trying to restructure things a little bit and come back stronger. Which, you know, like I said, it worked. You know what I mean? But it was we were so infinitely into it when we did cancel it. Most people wouldn't even remember we did it. So,
well, dude, you guys had so many fucking huge bands, and mind you, like we're going. What was the last year that you guys did it? 2012. So, and you guys started, you know, obviously like the early 2000s. I mean, we're talking a time in the metal underground. It was a lot different scene than it is nowadays. You know. I mean, some of these bands nowadays, you look at them and, well, if they're even still around, just you would have to pay an arm and a leg to score some of the people that you had on your festival, man.
Yeah, dude, it bugs me, man, because it's like, you know, dude, it's just, I don't know. Metal was never supposed to be about making money. And I mean, and I guess damn me to hell that I have a corporate job and I make money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like I said, a lot of people are pretty freaked out. Like I said, the singer Lividity hangs out with old ladies all day.
Well, how else are you going to get your material, you know?
Yeah, right.
You know, but you know what, man? I mean, especially the time that we're going through right now where you see people having a hard time. I mean, this isn't me I mean, I'm not having a hard time at all. It's business as usual for me. You know, I mean, I got job security. You know, I got a lot of people around me. Yeah, I mean, we got to do, you know, mask, the temperature, fucking bullshit. But, you know, man, it's like I said, it's like I'm a lot older now. I think a lot of people, I mean, I just think about it, man. When I first started doing shows in the scene, I was 18. And I just turned 46.
You've been in the game a long time, man.
Crusty, man. Crusty.
Crusty.
You know, yeah, pretty much, man. But no, it's cool, man.
Well, speaking of that, let's kind of get into that and like how you got started in the scene, man. I mean, did you do anything else before Lividity? I thought there was something maybe that I can't remember.
My very first band was actually me and Vaughn Young, actually, when we were in high school, used to jam in his bedroom. And then we had a guy named Ari Roberts, who was actually, you know, at one point in time, they had kind of a band. I think they called it Abaddon at the time or some bullshit. And, you know, man, it just, you know, I mean, I couldn't even play, dude. I was rough. I was just more of a talker then, you know what I mean? So, so we ended up kind of going all way. Then I ended up doing a punk band for a while, which was like a bunch of Misfits covers.
Nice.
And shit like called Rivethead before that. Then after that, moved on to Malicious Intent. Keep in mind, this whole time wanted to do death metal. But unless you could be Alex Marquez from the Retribution album, I wanted nothing to do with you. Just because that's in my head at the time, that was, you know, Florida death metal was pretty much, you know, your Deicides, your Obituaries, you know, fucking Your Corpse. That was pretty much where my head was at, you know, as far as and no one could really. I mean,
about Solstice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it seemed like back then no one could play the shit. You didn't have a lot of these drum machines. This was before Putrid Pile. This is before fucking, you know, the guy that renovated the drum machine. I mean, fucking give the man his props, man. There was like nobody doing that shit. When I can remember after he was doing Numbskull, then when he busted that shit out, man, no one was doing that shit. If they were doing it, they weren't doing it well. You know what I mean? And it's just, and then now everybody's fucking. That was before the technology. He was throwing that shit there on the fucking. He still uses it. He's like, "Fuck your technology. I'm still gonna fucking rock this shit." You know what I mean?
So old school.
Dude, straight up, dude, it works. You know what I mean? But it's just, but it's just like I said, it was a different time, man. Fucking, you know, and I wanted to get out and do fucking death metal. Then we went from that to a thrash band called Malicious Intent, which was kind of like Sanctuary.
Okay.
And shit like that, which was actually where I did more like guitar solos. And this is all stuff that like we had on tons of material, and probably like one or two people out there have shit like a tape of this, every blue, you know. And then but then, you know, Aaron, who was in Lividity with me for a lot of years, we grew up together in high school and all that shit. And then we started to meet up later in the day and did like Desecration before we realized there was a UK Desecration. You know what I mean? So then but that was kind of more of like your groovy death metal, and that's where I met Dave and all that shit. Then after that broke up, they had a band called Section 8, then boom, Lividity, then 11 years later, you know, fucking same shit, man. I'm a hoe. You know what I mean? Fucking do all got ADHD, can't keep. But that's actually something I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be a little more focused on not doing so many things. I'm trying to.
I think it's called Adderall.
Yes. Well, it's just too much, man. I mean, it took 5 years to do that Horrific Demise album, and I was happy with it. But my God, by the end of it, I didn't even care if I listened to it or not.
Oh yeah, dude, it's a great album. Like I was telling you when we were talking via Messenger, man, I was rocking the hell out of that all last week. Like on my way to work, I love cranking music up loud as fuck, something to get me ready for the shitty day ahead. You know? And that was my main go-to for last week.
Thanks, man. Well, dude, and I didn't even do vocals on it. You know what I mean? A lot of people give me a lot of credit where, like, Matt did vocals on this. And, I mean, it's like, and it's funny, I wasn't even credited with vocals, I mean, on the album. You know what I mean? But Anthony did that whole thing, man. That was all him, man. I just did guitars because that was actually a lot of the goal of wanting to bring in a different vocalist is I didn't want to fucking sing it. Because my vocal, there's a version of the album on my junky computer that doesn't work right here of me doing vocals on the whole album.
No shit.
You know what I mean? And it was a totally different lyrics, different feel. It was I think it was good, yeah, but it wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if you can, I was like, fuck it, dude. We need to find somebody. Took the whole thing and was like, see ya. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but no, I mean, I appreciate that because, I mean, really, when that was done it was either like, okay, 5 years, it better not suck. You know what I mean? Or everybody's going to hate on it. But for the response that people have been giving it, man, I wouldn't, at one point in time, I didn't care if I did one more thing. I was like, you know what, man? I'm old. That's a good way to go out. I'm good with that. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of like, you know, you're saying you're old. I mean, we're all getting up there in fucking age now. You know, I'm not that
me.
Guy.
Not him. No.
Nope.
You know, I'm not the same guy doing fucking somersaults off stage and shit anymore.
Oh Jesus!
It hurts now.
Yeah, no shit. It hurts just climbing on stage for me.
Yeah, no shit. What kind of, like, is there a glass ceiling for you, Matt? Like, to where you're like, all right, this is it, I'm done. I mean, is it a passion thing? I mean, because for me,
no, dude, I mean, I'm telling you flat out, man. I'm 46. I just celebrated my 46th birthday. I mean, my daughter's 18, getting ready to graduate for not only fucking high school, but fucking degree out of college. You know, right out of high school. You know, man, I got a son. You know, I got a stepson. I mean, I feel like, man, I've been selfish most of my life and done music, and now I feel like, you know, man, I've done everything. And I'm not a religious guy. I mean, by no means, but I don't know any other way to put this. But I'm fucking blessed that, dude, anything that I've wanted to do, I've been able to do. I mean, I had somebody hit me up the other day. It was just like, oh my God, dude. I mean, you actually acknowledged me when I fucking stalked you on Facebook. You know what I mean? This dude. And I was like, man, dude, I appreciate you view my vocals that way. But when I go back and hear it, I feel like I'm better now at 46 than I was at 26.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
That.
And it's kind of like, I mean, you try to respect what people think, but then, I'm always my own worst critic. And I think, I mean, I have my visions for what I want to accomplish and shit like that, man. But it's cool. I mean, I just want to have fun, man. I don't foresee me doing, I mean, I have Necrolytic's the main focus right now. I see about a good 3. I promised myself I wouldn't be 50 years old still rocking. I promised myself that, man. Not saying I couldn't do it, but it's just because, man, it's just there's other things that I want to do. And that's
there's
why
nothing wrong with that.
Well, no, yeah. So, so like I said, that's just my glass ceiling, I guess, man. I got a few more years left in me, man. But that's as long as my health holds out. Keep in mind, I don't have a heart attack after we hang up the phone on this or anything.
She a heart attack.
Well, when you get that old, when you get our age, you never know. And that's the whole thing is like, certain things like bending down. Like I'm sitting here like bending down at work the other day and couldn't get up to where the point I had to almost ask one of the young ones to help me up.
Oh, yeah. I
You
know
know,
that feeling.
Bodie, I had to
it's-
pick your big ass up.
Yeah,
I know, no shit, man.
Not
You
my
could be like
skinny ass.
Urkel.
No.
I need a couple people.
I can't get up.
Just let me use you as a push off, and I'll help you back up after I break your back.
Hey, I'll let you push a push pop and push it for flavor.
Ooh,
Ooh,
you're
yeah.
talking.
So
Yeah.
Matt, you and Bodie kind of got a little bit of history. Give us some insight into that.
Oh, dude! Well, dude. First off, besides one of the few people in the area I consider actually a friend and I know. You know what I mean? It's like that's why I was like when he told me he was going to be here, I was like, oh, fucking cool, man, awesome.
I wasn't gonna tell you.
He did the Lividity tribute thing with me, man. Fucking, it's literally if it wasn't for him, man, and Jesse, dude, literally with my 2 practices, I showed up and literally pulled it off. But
We did.
due to my work schedule, this is right about the time that I got promoted at my job, man, right around this time happened. And it was just like, we committed to doing this, and I'm just kind of like, oh, fuck, man, we're going to fuck this up. You know what I mean? But no, it went like really, really well. You know what I mean? And it was fun, man. We did the one extra show in Milwaukee. You know what I mean? Which was a good time. But yeah, you nailed it, Bodie. I was real proud of you, dude.
Thanks,
that was a lot of fun, man. I mean, it was literally, it was the closest thing to, I guess, what my version of Lividity was. You know what I mean? In my opinion. You know what I mean? And it sounded like it. You know what I mean? So it was cool. It was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it was, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, bro. It was awesome because that's like the Lividity I first heard and came up on. And to play that, that music with you on stage and just to learn those riffs and everything like that, like it was like one of the highlights of playing music. Like,
well, dude, you learned it on your own, man. I mean, you learned a lot of that stuff, and I just had to kind of like boom, 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 and you were like on it enough to the point of where I didn't have to sit there like, oh, I mean, dude, that was rare, man, to where I didn't have to like alter anything. And like I said, it's the funny thing I learned with all that, man, is how much muscle memory came back into it to where, wow, I mean, some of these songs I hadn't played in like, Jesus, 11 years plus, or it'd been a while, and then they came back, let alone having to sing them at the same time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it could have been an utter train wreck. I actually think we didn't fuck up.
Could have.
So we could say, boo on you, the oozing vaginal, that you fucked up on.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Can you guys explain that event and tell the story for somebody that doesn't, like me, that doesn't know what you guys are talking about, but like the whole Lividity tribute, with that whole event, what was, obviously you guys pulled it off, but what did that entail? Like what was the event? What were you guys actually trying to do other than the obvious thing?
Well, a lot of it was, man, I think I just needed something. I think it was something at the fest. It was never like one of these goal things to go out and say, because Lividity was still around at the time. And I think Lividity might have been on hiatus at the time. I think not necessarily on hiatus, but they weren't really doing anything at that point in time. And I think, like I said, it was never meant as a malicious thing to fuck with Dave or fuck with anybody. You know what I mean? Because it's no secret that me and him don't see eye to eye. But I'm cool with the rest of Lividity. You know what I mean? I've lived and let live. I'm getting older. I don't worry about it. But no, it's like I said, we just did a few gigs. We needed a band, and like I said, a lot of people have been hassling about me. That's where I said, I guess it sounds full of me to say people were excited about hoping I would reproduce or get back with the band at some point in time. And I'd like, well, this is the closest thing you're going to get. So, even Jake, the guy who played bass on it, was actually current bass player Lividity at that point in time. So he played bass with us. You know what I mean? And he did great too, considering, man, he really didn't practice with us either.
No, yeah, like we had like maybe 2 jams with him. He came up to Milwaukee and jammed with us at the SA spot, and then we did that little quick run through above the CIM venue up in that little room. We did all that acoustic style almost. That's
dude.
Was that was still at the Canopy Club, right? Isn't that where you
right
always
above the
did?
Canopy.
Yep.
I love that venue, dude. I remember one of the cool things about CIM
awesome.
was like it was, for one, I mean, it's a college campus, right? What was that? What was the university?
University of Illinois.
Okay, so and then you go in there. It's a pretty fucking damn decent sized stage and area, and then it's like a whole theater set up. And then they had those. I remember sitting up with Sean, Putrid Pile. We're watching bands and shit play, just sitting up in the fucking, I'll call it the rafters, you know, the upper deck, whatever those upper seats were, just fucking blazing and smoking, dude, like checking bands out. And like, I was like, man, this is what's up, dude. Like, just chilling, nobody fucking bitching at you, nobody causing anybody any fucking harm, you know, just like metal up your fucking culo and having a good time, man.
Dude, I mean, it was they tolerated so much crap.
Yeah, they did.
And one thing that, like, and the funny thing was, man, and back then, you know, everybody, and it was funny because, like, now that we've seen some of these posters, it's like, you know, you always all these, like, you know, that was like the infant stages of like the keyboard warrior for like, oh, I think this lineup could be better. Oh, this shit, you know what I mean? But man, I take a lot of pride that, man, I didn't skimp on fucking cash, man. I mean, I pretty much, I evolved from a brutal death. You just only could go so far booking brutal death metal. And where a lot of my logic is, even though, man, I think some of these bands are just fucking awesome, dude. I'm not paying you a band that's worth $500, $5,000 just because you live overseas. Not happening. You know what I mean? And that's where I differ from other promoters. It's just like I never was willing. I mean, I knew the numbers. I worked for some people that did bigger shit. That like, you know, they would book somebody in like the, you know, the $50, $100, you know, $75,000 range. And, you know, that's when you start really realizing the value of some of these people wanting the money they want. It's like they can't draw 50 people.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. And a lot of these bands, and people don't realize, and a lot of these fucking keyboard warriors is it. Unfortunately, it is a business, and especially when you are promoting and running a festival, you have to take into account that it is a business transaction that you're making with these people. You have to look at, hey, well, I might like this band, but man, are they going to fucking draw anything? Or if you book some bands that you got 5, 6, 7, 8 bands that you know, they're easily going to bring hundreds of people, then maybe you can be afforded the opportunity to pull in a couple of lesser known bands that you know ain't gonna draw shit, but maybe their girlfriends or something. But a lot of it, I think too, is it's opportunity. If somebody hits you up and say, I always looked at like some of these bands, even some of the band, I'm not gonna say any names, that I respected or liked, I should say. Respect's kind of going a long way on that one, but that would charge an arm and a leg to go play a fucking fest when it's like, it's an opportunity. Okay, so look at it business-wise. If you have a shit ton of fucking merch, I always looked at it like, let your performance speak for itself. And you may only be getting a couple $100, and if you're coming from, you know, across the country or overseas or whatever, but let your fucking performance speak for yourself and have some fucking merch for sale. Because once you do that and you go out there and fucking slay, dude, it's the same to me as like fucking sports. People wouldn't be fucking buying Michael Jordan jerseys if they didn't see how badass he was on the fucking goddamn court. You know what I mean? Like, the mentality of some of these bands, it really kills me. It's like, take the opportunity, because one, especially we all know this, in the heavy metal underground, you need the exposure, and you need to be able to sacrifice and take some hits and be like, hey man, this is going to come out of our pocket a little bit, but at the end of the day, we're going to go play in a different area that we haven't had exposure yet, you know, and that's just the way I look at it with that shit.
And give you a $500 performance while we're at it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
well, a lot of it is, man, and it's like, you know, and I've been lucky enough to see it from all the perspectives of a musician that's gone from a promoter, and I mean, and I've done it successfully booking tours. You know, I did it successfully with Monstrosity. I did 2 master tours that were successful. But
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of the thing that I got away from, and it's even with like, you know, kind of with my feeling on like, I get that certain people at a certain age or a certain level, I guess, but a lot of my problem is like, look, if you need $5,000 to do a show, I don't care if you need 20 grand. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. You better
I
be
don't
Cannibal
care so much
Corpse,
about
though,
the
too.
money. I don't care so much about the money side of a lot of what these bands want. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, some of them aren't any younger than me. They've been doing it for a long time. I'm lucky enough to have skills and a stable career that, you know, I can support my family. But if they're not doing music, maybe they can't do that. But a lot of my biggest problem with like a lot of these people that I've come up with, man, and it's like, you know, man, I've never kissed anybody's ass. I've never just tried to be cool. I see all these people that are buddies with each other, and it seems like everybody does in a big jerk-off session. You know what I mean? Yeah, pretty much, man. It's like, dude, I mean, it's just like, you know, I'm not going to sit there and say I'm kiss anybody's ass. I'm not going to sit there. If you're a good person, man, cool. If you got talent, cool. If I don't like your shit, cool. It doesn't mean you're not a dick. You could be a nice person. It doesn't matter. But there's just so many weird shit in the metal scene where people are trying to just nickel and dime everybody. Is a tour promoters, a lot of time you could have somebody that's never booked a show in the life and say, I want to book this band. And if you're willing to take $200 on a Monday, but someone offers you $1,200, I guarantee you by an hour later, that contract's going to be in the mail saying, oh, sign it now. And that's just a lot of what I see going on. You know, everybody's just trying to like make their money, man. You know what I mean? And I get it, but it's just like, maybe this situation will tell people to have a plan B.
Yeah, no shit. You're exactly right about that.
Yeah. The morning after.
But I can't fault people asking what they're making. You know, it's not, but like I said, it's just changed a lot, man. A lot of people are just not as. It's like how brutal can. There's not. I mean, I don't really care, man. It's like I want everybody to do good, even if I don't like your band. It's like I want everybody to do good, but it's whole like everybody's trying to out brutal everybody. At least the whole fest of everybody there being a fest popping up every 5 minutes is starting to. But, I mean, you know, is kind of getting, you know, it's kind of coming full circle. Because I'm old. It's hard for me to sit there and watch 13 bands in a day. I'll be exhausted.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, even back then, brother, I couldn't. A lot of it was like, man.
Because you were wasted because you had a fucking few beers.
Yeah, right? Nonstop.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that, and it's like, man, fuck. I would be so amped to get up there, you know, and I got in the fucking zone. Like before we would play, I'm watching everybody, and it's kind of like, damn it, dude, I can't wait. Like these guys may be good, or there was a band I didn't like, but I'm just sitting up there fucking chomping at the bit to get up there and fuck shit up, you know? That adrenaline rush, man. It was cool. I'll never forget. Like CIM was one of the places. I think the last we played 2004 and 2006 with Decrypt. So we played one show with Brad on drums and one with, I think Tony played, from Mutilated, ex-Mutilated, and you know, he's done some other shit. But I remember going out there, and dude, it was a weird story because like we go out there, we didn't even have really a long set because Tony didn't know that much shit at the time. I think we only had 6, 7, 8 songs and a couple covers. I think we did a Nasm cover or something. And then I go up there and I don't know what fucking song it was because goddamn, we're talking so long ago and I've had a lot of these since then. But like in flipping off the fucking stage, dude, and just losing my mind and going nuts. It's nothing that's predetermined, you know. It's just like you feel it and you get that fucking emotional and that into it, and it's just like whatever happens, fucking happens, you know. And I remember after that, like a fan coming up to me and just talking to me, and it was really cool. It's like, man, dude, like it's fucking insane what you're doing up there, but like I'm sitting here talking right now, you're just like calm dude, like reserved. I'm like, yeah, man, like what the fuck do you want me to be, you know? Like I'm not gonna be doing that shit, you know. That's like when it's up there, that's my release and everything, you know. But then after that, it was Corporate Death from Macabre. Was just like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, what the hell did you just do? He's like, that was fucking amazing. He's like, you guys fucking destroyed, and they ended up inviting us to play what was it, their Holiday of Horrors show that they do and all that, which unfortunately we couldn't do at the time. I think we had drummer problems or some shit, I don't remember. But yeah, it was cool to be able to, and like I say, you go up there, you seize the opportunity, you make the most of that moment, And that's when you get like fans who get it, you know, that were like, man, like that was so fucking awesome. And it's cool that like, you know, I could sit and talk to you and you're not the fucking animal you are on stage. And, you know, I get guys who I looked up to, like, you know, like I said, with Corporate Death from Macabre being blown away. And I'm like sitting there like, who the fuck am I? Like, you know, thank you. But opportunities, thanks to you, good sir, you know, and booking fucking the sickest grind from Northwest Indiana at the time.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Well, dude, that was like pretty much, like I said, you know, going through that. Chris and Jimbo was in the original like incarnation of Human Artifacts.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that with you because I remember finally those times. I think that was when we were. So maybe Tony had just left or some. It's hard to go back and trace. Like I said, so much fucking partying, especially with Montez, man. Shout out to Chris Montez. That dude will fucking kick anybody under the table, have a couple of heart attacks, and then come back and drink some more.
Dude, it was just a distance thing, man, for what we were wanting to do at the time, man. And at that point in time, man, you know, with the distance, and then Aaron was wanting to come in, which is my boy. You know what I mean? It was just easier for, you know, because that's the hardest thing. It's like up until, you know, Necrolytic, this is the first band I've had like in the same time zone, you know, in like a minute. You know what I mean? To where we actually have like a jam day, you know.
And that's so hard, man. I remember when Brad left Decrypt initially, we had Matt Benner from was it Fully Consumed, I think, from Ohio. And I remember, dude, it was fucking nuts. We would drive like 2, 3, 4 hours, wherever it was. I think they're out in Akron or something like that. Just to practice with this guy for a couple hours and come back. And I think he lasted for a fucking cup of coffee. I think he ended up stealing my fucking Compton hat. Fucking get you. And a Peter Pan Christ shirt, motherfucker. But it's the sacrifice that you make. And like you're saying, the different time zones, that was one of the things, like when, you know, I'd always wanted to do extreme like death metal and stuff because it fit me naturally. Like growing up, I was an angry fucking young kid in the punk rock. My musical taste progressed into like grindcore and getting into death metal and shit. And that was my escape, you know, my way out before I fucking choked or murdered somebody was do that. And so when the Decrypt opportunity came, I fucking seized it, man. And it was all awesome until like that was an eye-opener right there. Like, man, we're fucking it doesn't make sense that we're wasting this time and money to drive all the way out to fucking Ohio. And I always was kind of like, man, I don't know if this guy's gonna work out, but I didn't really have any say in the band, you know, at the time. I was whatever, it was fucking Chris and Brad and Jimbo's fucking baby, you know. But yeah, it just that's fucking hard, man. And we were talking earlier before we went on air here, how weird it is with underground metal and death metal because it's not a popular genre and because it is tough to quote unquote make it or be at least like a Black Dahlia murder or somebody, you know, I mean, to even be a Deicide or a Cannibal Corpse, I mean, that was just timing, place and time and that era of that music. And it stood the test of time. And that's why they are who they are now. And I'm sure there's probably a couple of those guys are probably still fucking slanging some kind of 9 to 5, you know, maybe not in Corpse, but it's just, man, dude, it's so crazy with the metal community that everybody's everywhere and doing this shit when, you know, like you're saying, you don't even live in the same fucking city. Cause that threw me off, man. I was like, these are my homies. These are my bros. I always love that camaraderie when you have that and you're in the same town, in the same city and able to come together and create something special. And it's weird. It's not that it can't work with people from out of town because it happens all the time. You know, it's just, to me, it was a really weird deal, man.
Oh, exactly. Well, and that's a lot of like, you know, with being up here. I mean, it was like after the Horrific Demise album was, like I said, not one of us were in the same room recording at the same time. None of us once, you know what I mean? And, you know, and then once I met Brian up here, man, it was just like, you know, to see somebody hungry and generally not a lazy drummer, you know what I'm saying? Someone who's generally motivated and like, you know, has his life together and shit like that. And I initially didn't even know. I've been up here in Milwaukee now. I'm from, you know, Fox. I mean, shit, God, I'm trying to think, 11 years, 12 years. And like, I didn't even know Ray fucking from Immortal Suffering, Eternal Bleeding lived up here.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue. And all of a sudden it's like, no shit. What the fuck you doing up here? It's like, well, I've lived up here this long. I got killed. Like, no shit. You know what I mean? So it's been cool, man. I mean, it's like, that's the exciting part for me is like, going full circle to where it's like less is more. It's not always trying to get more. It's like, I don't mind being the guy behind the scenes. That's always, I always get sick of it being the mass show because that's too much work. You know what I mean? I encourage other people to have ideas so that way I can run with it. Because man, dude, I get, I don't know everything, by no means. Yeah. But I've been lucky, man. It's been cool, man. I mean, wanted to start getting into doing some more gigs and stuff like that, man. But man, with my job, it's kind of hard, so I can't do a ton of stuff. So
it's got to take a lot off of your shoulders too, like with Necrolytic, because you got guys around you that you can bounce ideas off, and you're busy with work, kids, family, stuff like that.
Well, it's caused a little bit of stress, man, with, just because, like I said, we haven't really been jamming, man. It's just, like I said, it's just, I literally can't, I don't know how, how you believe what you want about all this, man. But I mean, as far as with what I do for a living, which, if I get caught out and about in the age of Facebook by the wrong people, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I can't, and my whole thing is, if you want to talk about fucking, medical purees and other fucking bullshit, man, I'm your man. But, you want to,
there you go.
I can't sit there and talk about, fucking, viruses and fucking bullshit, or fucking, whether an asteroid's going to blow up the earth, or fucking any bullshit, or the 5Gs, man, are going to make our balls shrink up or something.
Yep, that's happening.
But dude, it's so fucked up, man. It's just like, it's either you're out there fucking, man, rubbing your balls in everybody's face and getting them sick, or you're fucking staying home and you're a fucking coward. And I just look at it this way. It's like, dude, I would love to be doing this, or I'd love to be doing that, man. I mean, I'm sick of sitting at home. I mean, I think me and the lady have watched every episode of fucking Star Trek, Voyager, Picard.
Oh.
To the point you get the Star Trek withdrawals like the last few weeks, dude. I've been like, God, man, we haven't any Star Trek going on. Come on, man. You know what I mean? But, but I don't know, man. It's just people are just being real dicks to each other, whether you feel on any side of it. So I've been just trying to go to work every day, hoping that, man, it's going to ride out. I'm one of those guys that know when I work with the health department, I think all these shows are good. I mean, I don't want to sit there and think, oh, why he's saying this, man? He shouldn't be saying it. Dude, there's not going to be any shows this year. And if they are, they're going to take a hit because I work with the health department. And the health department, I don't think, is going to let any gatherings. Even there's stages of where this has got to go. And, man, as much as and what people don't understand is why it's got to go this way is so many people are just like rubbing their balls in people's face. That's the only dude, but check this shit out. This is the analogy. Now I can take this to my worldwide forum. This is the analogy. If this was a mass outbreak of fucking herpes, there wouldn't be a motherfucker on the street. There wouldn't be a motherfucker on the street, dude. It'd be outside. But man, because it's the unseen, man. You got motherfuckers with boils all over their face and arms. Dude, you're staying the fucking side.
All right. Yeah, no kidding.
You know what I mean? Walking around with plastic bags and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Melting like fucking street trash style,
Yeah, exactly. But it's locked everything down. It's, it's like I said, it's like, I hope that we get to the point, like I said, with Full Terror Strike goes on. I know that we, but I just think, man, but then if you are able to do it, are people going to come out? It's one thing to say on the internet that you're going to come out, but are you going to come out? You know what I'm saying? So even, like I said, I don't want no one breathing their germs on me.
Yeah, I was scared to go back to Full Terror after a fucking tick was sucking the blood from my ball sack.
I'm telling you,
so
man.
now
the ball bag ticks.
The next millionaire is the one who be like, we'll all have like these new like signs where we don't touch each other, going like "live long and prosper" or something. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's fucking, it's nuts. But fucking, I don't know. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I guess, man. Fucking, But, you know, I don't know. But I just don't like to see, like I said, where it's just like everybody's just kind of like, you know, it's funny because everybody's like, oh, I'm broke, I need money and shit like that. But, man, the second they got that money, everybody's buying an interface and more guitar gear and all this fucking bullshit. It's kind of funny. I needed that money to pay my rent, but not after I buy the new Warlock.
Well, I wasn't broke.
Yeah,
but
right.
no, I did buy some stuff.
Well, that's good, bro. It doesn't matter, man. I'm just fucking around. But,
No, I know. I
you
know.
know.
I had to. I was like, I need to upgrade my shit.
Well,
Fred's
that's what I
buying
do.
all them interfaces right now, aren't you,
I mean,
Fred?
well, dude, I can't say shit. That's what I've done during. I mean, dude, I've literally since this whole lockdown, I was like, man, I'm gonna redo the whole studio. So it's like this today officially got everything done. So I was just like, you know, finally, you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, it's just trying to make best use of the time, man. Like I said, fuck. Like I said, I'm ready to start getting back out though, because it's starting to get a little stir crazy.
Yeah. You got a great setup too. I've seen you share the picture on Facebook.
Well, it was cool, man, because it's like, well, what sucks is, man, and like I said, my other computer's locked up at the moment. So once we get past this, I got to try to see if I can salvage the hard drive. So, because there's definitely some things like the Human Artifacts album that are on that damn thing that I'm trying to go like, oh shit. But the problem is could those files already be corrupted? And now I'm using different programs that are like, you know, like I said, once you upgrade, there's a learning curve. You know, and that's what I'm trying to. I mean, I spent 2 days going, why am I hearing the DI out of the left fucking speaker and nothing out of the right? So, you know, I'm sitting there freaking out, going, God damn, I spent all this money and I can't even get a clean guitar tone.
That's gonna be me.
You know what I mean?
Let me ask all three of you guys something. Given the fact that you guys know, I mean, there's genres that you love, but then you guys kind of like a bunch of different types of music. This year, since the quarantine started, a couple of albums from different genres have been coming out, and they've been pretty great. So I'm assuming with this shutdown and people being bored and creative and either drinking more or doing more drugs or being more introspective or just being flat out like actually putting in the work, like I have nothing else to do, I'm gonna put, you know, light a fire on my ass and sit in the seat for the next couple hours or just play. Do you guys predict that the second half of 2020 and then all of 2021 are going to be kind of a badass year and a half for new music? What do all three of you think?
If you guys don't mind, I'll field that first. I think as long as people, hey, check out, gotta go in the fridge, get some buds. As long as people are actually motivated, you know, some people I think can get caught in their own heads with this shit. As far as like just not being able to get out of the whole aspect that you can't do anything. I think the ones that are workhorses, like shout out to Brad Vanderzee, a guy like that, some of the other people I know, yeah, there's going to be some really cool shit coming out, you know, but it's, if people, like I said, if they can get out of their own minds and escape that and just work, go to fucking work and be creative and forget that this shit's going on. Just take into account that you get to spend more time in your fucking house or your studio or somewhere that you actually love and make the best of it, guys.
So what is your prediction, Wallace? Do you think think there's going to be some good-ass music? Like better than the last... I'm predicting that it's going to be better than it has been the last couple of years. Like 2021, I think it's going to be a killer year for music.
Yeah, well, definitely.
I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, I think for sure you probably have got... But I think a lot of people aren't jamming either. I think you got your bands that are jamming, and then I think you have your bands that aren't jamming. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a fine line. Is there still that creative process, you know, going? Yeah, I think absolutely. Dude, the one thing I will say about like now is like the quality of like musicianship, man. It's like I never consider myself the best, you know, guitar player, but I think I could write a good song. I mean, you know, right. But man, there's just some people that can just bring it. I mean, it's like, I mean, especially now that I've gotten into the gear side of it, man, and some of these people, it's just like, it's humbling to just go, wow, just, you know, and then finding out that a lot of like sounding good is like technique. You know what I mean? It's just the way you play your strings and stuff like that, the way you hold your pitch. You know what I mean? And stuff like that, you know. But I think there's just a lot of good stuff coming out. I mean, everything, the problem is where I think it is going. And I think it's where I think I think the Horrific Demise album, when it came out 5 years earlier, it wouldn't have the same effect as it did when it did come out. Is for a while, everything was so technical, so fast, you couldn't remember a riff. And I think there was a point in time for like a 3 or 4 year period, I couldn't remember anything that was coming out because it was just very, and then when, you know, nothing was catching with me. You know what I mean? And I think maybe one of the Internal Bleeding albums, maybe I think a couple other things that came out were actually kind of cool and catchy. Some of the Dying Fetus stuff that was coming out because they had a different song structure to where it wasn't just trying to be a million notes in every second. But I think there's going to be some good stuff coming out, man. But, you know, there's just some insane musicians out there. The way they think is just, just you can tell they put some time into their instrument, man, and their time, man. You know, I give it respect. More time than
for sure.
What you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, definitely. I think so. I mean, especially now with how much time some people have on their hands. It feels like I got busier once all the quarantine happened, and I don't have any more time. But you know, but no, like even, you know, personally speaking, stuff that I'm doing and writing too is a lot different, for the better, I believe.
Like the theme song for the JPDUB.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of good shit coming out, I think, too. And to add on to what you were saying, Matt, with there's some years with like all the tech, like there's a lot of tech going on, a lot of fast stuff, and it was like, who can outspeed each other? Man. You know what I mean?
Just give me some, if you want technical shit, give me some Origin or Malignancy.
Right. Give me some of that, or give me some Cytotoxin. You know, Cytotoxin, Defeated Sanity, dude. Those dudes are sick.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, man, I mean, this is gonna sound so funny, man. And anybody that really knows me, man, knows this is the truth, man. I'll take some fucking Dangerous Toys or Dawkins any fucking day.
There you go.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Man, we're all about going into the fucking fire.
You're preaching to the choir. Give me some fucking Rick. Give me some of the LA.
Straight up. I mean, God.
Give me some of the LA guns.
Dude, you know what sucks about this whole
I just blew my metal crate
too?
out of the water right there.
George Lynch was back with Dawkins. They were going to do some shit. They were touring with George Lynch.
And my buddy was sitting there saying, man, it was the whole band. And I mean, dude, it's just him and fucking Don. But then, you know, it's been, you know, but dude.
That's all you need. Whatever,
yeah, dude. But yeah, he's pretty rough right now, man.
Yeah,
sometimes, man, you know, I know I went and saw Rat, man. Me and Aaron did actually at the Cannon Club. I think it was like 2006 or some shit, man. And I mean, musically they sounded good, man. But dude, his vocals were, I mean,
a lot
sometimes,
of
man,
cats, they're so fried and they try to come back and it's like it disgusts me. It's like, God damn it, like leave it alone, man. No, God, bitch.
Well, dude, but then it gets to the point in time, man, you know, there's nothing wrong with feeling like, dude, you know, I've had a good run or so, you know, and it's not like I'm old. I mean, I'm fucking young, but it's just a matter of fucking, it's not as easy to fucking get up there and fucking sing for an hour. You know what I'm saying? You know, taking those deep breaths, man. I mean, it's something that, man, it's hard to do, man. You know what I mean? And hitting those high highs, it was funny. I posted like an old Lividity video for like 99. And I was like, holy shit, I can't get that high anymore.
Gotta kind of adjust it.
Got a pincher, one of them ball pinchers and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. Somebody kick me. There you go.
Yeah, kind of get back to what Srett was saying, though. I think in a lot of different genres, and the cool thing about this shit, too, is you're going to have maybe bands that you liked, and I know maybe this is a poor example because it's been going on forever, but I'm a huge Frank Zappa nut. I mean, and so they're constantly raping the vaults and pulling shit out from there. But I think with a lot of other artists, too, that have some stuff that's been put away, you might see a lot of that shit finally get released now because of that, you know, what's going on. And I think the people who are going to have it probably the easiest are like the pop artists, you know. What's that song, like the Weeknd, or Bodi knows what I'm talking about.
Don't get me started on that song.
It's like an 80s synth track that I actually
it's total
actually
80s.
Dig. Yeah,
I dig it. I'm not gonna lie.
Were you talking about Loverboy? Is that what you were talking about?
Oh, man, I can't.
No,
I can't
blinding light or something like that. The blinding light.
I thought you were talking about Working for the Weekend or something.
Oh,
Loverboy. Yeah, dude.
Working for the
Hey, man, I'll take
Night Rangers, some shit. I'm cool with that.
There you go.
But I mean, people like that, and it's weird because, like, I've seen Pile, you know, post some shit, and he's a one-man fucking shindig, so he's got it easy, you know? Like, he ain't got to deal with no bullshit band drama, you know, unless his drum machine's fucking talking shit to him. He was talking about, like, I don't know if it was, like, something that maybe this could be his last record, or he's gonna get out of it. And I don't want to read too far into that, you know, but it's like guys like that, man. I would think that, fuck, man, if you can. But he's also another guy that he works a job, yeah, and he has a kid, you know, he does stuff. I would think it would be easier for people like that. That's why I say like these pop stars, because really they have people that are writing fucking music for them, most of them, you know.
Writing everything for them almost.
Yeah, unless you're
all
like,
they gotta do is step into the vocal booth.
But you gotta think outside the box, man. I mean, okay, let's just say, you know, when he was playing in India, imagine making that trip fucking by yourself. I mean, just think about how many places, man. I mean, don't
he goes
get me wrong,
everywhere.
Dude, you know, I mean, it's like it's hard. When he has to be motivated, he's got to motivate himself.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So I mean, dude, it's I mean, I think there's some pros and cons to it. I'm sure. I mean, sure, he would say if he was here the same shit. You know, I mean, it's like because I know we've talked about it before, man. But I'm sure it's just, man, that was probably just a day, dude. Where because like I said, man, you try not to let people fucking when they shit on you, fucking take it personal. But dude, when fucking you're busting your ass and someone's being a dickhead. Right. It fucking pisses you off someday. And some days you get on Facebook and say, you know what? These people can suck my dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Suck my dick and fucking like it.
Like it.
Yeah, dude. Man, like I said, Pa, I love you, man. You have your right. You want to tell people to suck your dick, they can suck it. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah, I'll tell you what, man.
That.
I was, what was it, yesterday? I was rocking hard. You guys remember that fucking split with Viral Load?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
I remember that shit.
Dude. That's a great EP within itself. But, dude, that Pile fucking shit just, whoo.
It's
the production.
Think about it that way, man. I mean, he totally, in that situation, made a conscious decision whether, you know, he realized it or not, where he could do one of two things. He could have totally made himself probably more accessible, added members, and tried to appeal to something for a relapse or a bigger label. Or what he did was the complete opposite. And you know, and then went ultra brutal, you know what I mean, and grindy, you know what I'm saying, and shit like that. And then because, you know, and then, like I said, he's never asked anybody. I mean, dude, he just does all this shit on his own. It's like, oh, what, you know, okay, you guys go do your shit. I'm gonna go hang out in India for 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no shit. I'm gonna go play on Saturn.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like, you know, man, but keep in mind, you know, when him and like with Sean Whitaker, nobody was doing that. When they first came out, man, a lot of people were like, this is before your easy drummer, where, like, you know, I'm sitting here right now fucking with it, to where, I mean, and a lot of the old school people, you know, would make fun. I mean, dude, I'll never forget, man. I'm not going to embarrass the guy and mention his name, but with CIM, somebody was saying that he was getting up there and started talking shit. And then once he saw fucking Pile bring it, you know, he was like, damn, man, that motherfucker was badass. You know what I mean? Because, you know, a drum machine to them, you know, was just not accessible. So that actually won some old school guy over. You know, dude. So, you know, and like I said, man, it's just, you know, it can't be easy, man. I mean,
Pile, dude, I love that, dude. I mean, we go pretty far back. I mean, even like I said before, I was in Decrypt. They used to always have these house parties. And I mean, dude, you want to talk about wild fucking house parties. I mean, there were jocks, there were punks, there were fucking, you know, gangbanger wannabe motherfuckers. Every, like, what would you call it? Fucking walk of life. Every, you know, social fucking entity or whatever they were, whatever you want to call it. I can't find the words. I've had a couple of buds now. Yes, every member of a clique was at the shows, and it was Decrypt and like Stump, and Pile would always come down and play these fucking shows and shit. And it was like, holy shit, man! And they were house parties. Like, I'm talking like, I probably lasted. I remember when I first started going to them. I was getting so hammered so quick. There was a full fucking bar there, dude. Most of the time I left throwing up, you know, like I was getting so fucking trashed. But it was cool because that was when I got my first taste of Pile, and then we, you know, when I joined the band and we fucking played many shows with them. And I remember we had them out here. Our boy Chris Reeder booked a show at a fucking apartment complex where I'm at in Hobart, Indiana. It was like, I think it was us, Pile. I want to say, I think Plaguebringer was on the bill too. And so like Rat Face and those guys, Funeral Fuck Toy, I think they were doing at the time.
Funeral Fuck Toy. I remember them. I remember that shit.
Old
dude,
school.
man.
Yep.
Fucking cops, the cops show up, shut the fucking thing down. It's
course.
loud as shit. And me and Montez were renting this spot, this house back in the day, and like, fucking, all right, we got everything. Fucking took Pile back to the house, went down the basement, took the fucking keg in the basement, dude, and had a packed fucking basement
show.
somewhere floating around. I think Montez has it. There is video of that fucking show, and it is fucking amazing, dude. It's fucking awesome. I got to get his ass on and get that shit transferred. Yeah, dude.
Montez B-sides.
Right? It was so I was so pissed, though, because I was like, damn it. You know, not everybody from the show came back to the house, but, I mean, it was a small house, but there's enough people where it was fucking packed, and, dude, Pile just brought it, dude. It's like, hey, man, we're not going to let you know, let the fucking pigs, you know, kind of rain on our fucking parade. You came down here to fucking play. You're going to fucking play, and kudos to Montez, dude. He was like, fuck it, you go play in our fucking basement. And he was that easy to set up, too. That's the great thing about it, you know?
Yeah, band in a backpack, man. Me and him have lived in the same city for years, man, and we've been buds for years. I mean, he introduced me to a lot of bands that I never heard of in the underground and shit, and helped me get some exposure that way too. You know, so.
Well, like I said, a lot of people don't remember, man. I mean, it wasn't like, let's say, the old school version of Numbskull that people from like the the 80s or the late and early 90s. But man, his version of Numbskull was when I met him, man. When he was like, dude, I mean, that was in the infinite stages. Because I remember when I got the very first Putrid Pile demo, was we were just going up there to do, I think, pre-production to decide if we were going to do "Till Only the Sick Remain" with Scott. And I think that's when, we were sitting there partying fucking down in the basement down there, and he gave me that little 4-song EP. This is,
I got
or a 2-song EP or whatever, man. And it was just, at that point in time, man, I mean, Numbskull, I think they were taking something, there's a hiatus going on or some kind of crap, you know what I mean? But that's when he was going with that, man. And it was, like I said, it's cool to just see where he's, like I said, man, been more places than my happy ass has.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. He's a guy that, like, how does Relapse not look at that? Because he has a fucking fan base. He has a, and it's world. He's a global brand.
Yeah, he tours a lot too.
Yeah, going back to, like I said, establishing yourself as a brand, and yes, it is a lot easier when you're one guy, but still, I mean, there are legit people that are invested in fucking Sean that are sending him artwork and all these things they've created for him, and caricatures and tattoos. In Decrypt, we were lucky enough. I remember Jake.
Get a ham sandwich.
Yeah, we got one guy that had a tattoo, and it's whatever. I don't get hard-ons for people that do that shit, but it is cool, Like, if someone likes you enough, likes your product and what you do enough to do that, like Sean, dude, he's amassed quite a following, and I'm just very surprised that this is no disrespect to Severed Records or anybody, but I'm surprised Relapse or Nuclear Blast or somebody hasn't jumped on that shit. Like, hey, let's at least do a fucking 1-record deal, see how it goes, But
dude, check it out. There's none of those labels. There's a fucking band with a drum machine or a computer. None of them. No.
Right. That's what I'm saying, though. Fucking do something different
or some bullshit. But a lot of it is, man, is this lyrical. I mean, it was the same thing. Like, when we were talking back in the day before we were putting out one of the albums, Morbid Records, we were talking to Relapse a little bit. And it was just lyrical content. I mean, dude, you're talking about sticking in an ass and fucking raping a bunghole, dude. That doesn't make for good record store buys.
Yeah. Clitoral decay.
Yeah, pretty much.
You should take a chance.
So,
take a chance.
Take a chance.
Like I said, I think man, and like I said, there's just not a lot of money. I mean, that was a point in time where people probably are quit buying CDs. I mean, who would have thought Lars was right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He called this shit. He called it, man, and that's what's fucked up, man. It's like, oh man, what a dick.
No one wants to admit Lars is right.
But now, like, man, I mean, that's the whole problem. Is like, dude, it was like literally like when the Horrific Demise album, like within the day, it was up all over, and all those places you see it all over YouTube. I don't know who those motherfuckers are.
Oh yeah, we had that problem too with Handsome Prick with the the last couple albums we dropped. It was, but at least I know there was at least one of those guys on YouTube that had the courtesy to hit me up and like, hey, can I put this out. And I'm like, you know what? You're going to do it fucking anyways. You have an audience that may hear it, that may want to buy it, because I know myself, and I've said this many a times, as a music fan, if I like something, dude, I've bought shit digitally a couple different times because I buy it on, I have an iPhone, I buy it on iTunes, but yet I'll buy it on fucking Bandcamp because I buy the fucking physical CD or the vinyl with it. Like, I tend to fucking spend too much on one record than I really should. And, so yeah, right. It's one of those things. If there was only more of that, but man, it was, it's just one of those goddamn things. And we can go back to the fucking Napster days, dude, when that shit got going. I mean, it was over then, in the late 90s when that shit was coming out. It's like, oh, you can get anything. And don't get me wrong. I never used shit to buy like full-length albums, to steal albums in the beginning, because it was like, it was more of finding the rare shit, like the B-sides and these live, cuts with the analog, the fucking live recording that you got from the soundboard or some shit,
the
like
overseas recordings too.
Yeah, like there's
those all the time.
There's some good Cannibal Corpse shit out there that's like that from Chicago, dude. Like with Barnes, like the fucking God damn it, the soundboard recordings, like during the Bleeding era, and it's just like, holy fuck, dude! You listen to this shit, it's like, it makes you think, like, damn, why did they ever fucking put out a vinyl of that shit, or a record or something? But
right.
I try to support as much shit as I can, and you're never gonna get around that. So some of it you kind of have to expect and embrace in a way, because it's like, it goes back to branding yourself. Hey, if this motherfucker's gonna do that, they're at least gonna know you're out there. So if they, by chance, maybe they stole your album, but that same person that stole your album shows up and sees you at a show and buys $50 to $100 worth of merch.
Yeah. I hear you, man. Totally. Some diehards, man.
Yeah. But it's like, you going back earlier what you said, man. I get it. I try to look at everything from every side, and it does suck. It sucks that motherfuckers steal shit and do that, but that's what happened. Technology, going back, like, what was it, Birdflesh song, technology is gay. I love it, dude, but it's such, like, God,
it's a double-edged sword, dude.
Yeah, it really is. And it's going to be weird to see how humanity and the music community and any genre is in the next 20 years. Where are we going to fucking be from then? Maybe CDs will just be, because there's still people that buy CDs. I still buy CDs, I try to buy more vinyl than I do CDs, but sometimes you have to, because it's the cheapest way to put out a fucking record, and have a physical copy. Where are we going to be? Maybe it's going to be like digitally injecting it into our fucking veins or something.
It's going to be on water.
Shit. Yeah, right. Jesus on the dashboard.
Yeah, recording on the purified water.
Sreten will be listening to Dave Matthews fucking with some chippy inserts into his fucking head.
Yeah, there you go. You will.
Don't hate.
So speaking of that shit, Matt, what's kind of some of the stuff outside of like your death metal and extreme metal that you get into, man?
Fuck. Well, man, like I said, I've really been fascinated lately a lot, man, by the whole, like, VSTs, fucking the whole digital side of recording. Just like I said, it's getting older, man. I want to be able to move on to the next. But man, dude, I'm big into Battlefront 2, man. I like my Xbox.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dude, I like my Star Wars. You know what I mean? So, fucking really, man. Just like I said, man, I enjoy hanging with the lady, man. Got good kids, man. So I can't complain, man. I'm pretty normal Joe, man. It's kind of funny. Most people figure it out, man. Once they get to know me a little bit, they're like, "You're not really what I expected." Like I'm supposed to be wearing like dresses with like spiked dildos and fucking horror.
Yeah. Well,
shit like that.
Eating a deer carcass raw.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
On a fucking, gnawing on a corpse or something in the corner or something.
Yeah. Well, therein becomes the question. It's like, what did you expect?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think the only person who really lived his fucking gimmick was G.G. Allen. Come on.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
And Seth Putnam.
Well, yeah. Okay.
It's true.
Anal cunt, brother. So here's the thing. All of us in the metal community, at least I like to believe and assume that I'm right, and I don't care if it makes an ass out of me and you, your mama and your cousins too. I have a little thing that I've kind of created here, Matt, and just humor me for a minute. So metalheads are into horror. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yes.
All right. That being known, I want to know, horror and metal go hand in hand, but playing shows, touring, promoting your own festivals, there are some horror stories within themselves in doing that. What are maybe one or two of some of the worst, absolute worst fucking experiences that you've encountered, whether it's a fucking fan experience, bullshit with a band, you know, some fucking gear went wrong, some weird, crazy shit happened. What's something in your fucking experience that you've had to deal with?
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Laundry list, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, fuck it.
What's the smelliest, ooziest, nastiest one that comes to mind?
Honestly, man, the worst thing that I had to deal with, man, from like an awkward perspective, was one year at the festival, man, where a certain band called us, threw some stuff on somebody, and I think it might have been 2004. Actually, man, where it then called somebody the N-word as they smeared like shit on there, and then fucking proceeded to have a lot of dude, I didn't know if I was getting sued that whole year by this guy. Dude, it was fucking. And what sucked about it is because it was some friends of mine that just really had this whole like well, I got to be that was where my attitude started to change a little bit. Where it was like, you know what, metal is cool, but you don't got to you don't got to be a dick to fucking be metal.
You don't got to live the gimmick, man.
Right. Yes. So yeah, that fucking sucked. 2005 sucked, fucking, man, at my fest, because even though it looked like the biggest year, man, there was like, dude, it's just a couple and see, that's the whole thing, man, is I could have been a dick a few times in my years doing the fest on bands breaching contracts and, oh yeah, we're not supposed to play fucking 2 hours away, and find out the day before they're playing in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And all this shit. And I usually never, push that too hard. But dude, yeah, when I was really coming up with a bunch of loose fucking ends, man, where I didn't know if I was going to have the money to fucking pay all that fucking debt, but I did. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of rumors going around, and I got a little pissed off once I was like, anyways, usually it was all fest related, man. I can't think of anything really, anything band related or anything I've ever really had any stress with or anything like that. It's just always was just bullshit, dealing with others at the fest usually.
So nothing in a band where you were like, and maybe even go back to Lividity days where you're like, because I've even had this. I know back in the day where me and Montez, there were points where it's like, fuck, man, I want to knock you the fuck out, and nothing comes to mind like that.
God, I drank back then.
Yeah, I think we all did, and that's what was most of the fucking problem was.
Yeah, I have a great CIM story too. We'll go ahead later.
And fucking, I can remember in Slovakia getting pretty pissed, man, because someone they were harassing us on stage and yelling and screaming and fucking getting our pockets almost picked and some bullshit like that. But man, I can't think. Everybody's always been pretty cool most of the time, man. And you learn to just make of it. It is what it is.
Have you ever? I got an out of the blue question. Have you ever been to Serbia?
No.
For a show?
No.
I'm trying to. There's actually a city that's very snobby that apparently has where my brother met his wife and they got married there and all that stuff. It's called Novi Sad, and they have a good metal scene. It's like very, very underground. Yeah, and I went last year, and I didn't go to a metal show, but the guy I went out there for his wedding, he was telling me about how every year he goes out there for, I don't know what the festival's called, but it's like a 3-day festival, and it's awesome. And you got all these bands coming from all over the world to play. And one of my dreams is to organize a festival out there because the people are super welcoming. And they got good ass food and moonshine and coffee.
Oh.
Yeah, coffee. Whole country is all coffee and cigarettes culture, but yeah, you said Slovakia, so I wanted to ask. But I think Bodi said he had a good story.
Oh man, yeah. So, man, I gotta say, like CIM, it was like well, I don't know, one of my top fests ever, but the parties, man, the after parties at the hotel. There was that one hotel where everybody booked that, and then there was like hotels around that.
Yeah.
But I think it was the Fairview. I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
You know, the funny thing is, never went. Never went.
Yeah.
Never went once, man.
All night pool parties.
Someone had to get up in the morning and open the doors at 9 o'clock for the bands, man.
Dude, I commend you on that, man.
Dude, it's like I'm seriously, dude. It would be like me and the especially the last few years, man. Me and the lady would just go get something to eat on the way home, fucking pass out, have to wake up at like 6 in the morning, be like, fuck.
That's how I felt most of the time too, waking up the next morning.
Yeah, as most of you guys were just going to bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the all-night pool parties would be like 9 in the morning, and the funniest thing is like we're outside by the pool, like outside the hotel room, and there's just a shit ton of metalheads out there drinking beers, drinking booze, smoking weed, like, you know, and in the pool area we're just partying, beers in the pool, like no glass in the pool sign. There we are with glass bottles and liquor bottles, just tipping her back and giving her giving her it all. But I remember one year when the window got shattered. It was like the door that goes outside from the pool area to like the outside area where we're hanging out.
Dude, it was well, dude, especially at the fest, it was always a constant, very polite. I mean, they were very tolerant, and it would always be a very polite, like, oh man, someone's doing this. Oh shit, someone's doing this, man. Oh, someone's doing this. And most of the time, dude, there was a million times where how many times you see someone them kick somebody out, and then like. An hour later, they're hugging security, and security's letting them back in.
Yeah,
you know,
I've seen that plenty of times.
You know, not to say that always happens.
No,
but nah, man, it's like I said, man, it's just I don't think I've really ran. I mean, it's hard to remember a lot of that stuff, man. That's the one thing that I kind of regret through all this stuff. I didn't keep enough memories and like. You know, it was kind of just partying, doing your thing, man. And then I didn't remember a lot of it. It was like flashes. You know what I mean? Right. And then you see something, you're like, oh, wow, I remember that. You know.
Right.
You know, fucking, but yeah.
Great memories.
Yeah, old school for sure, man. Like I said, I definitely feel my age sometimes, but you know, I feel like I said, it's fun, man. That's like I said, you know, we don't want to get complacent. So I got a few more good years with some type of metal in me.
Right. That was one of the biggest like family reunions, metal family reunions in the Midwest ever. Like actually ever in the States, I should say. Like for me.
Yeah.
That was great.
I miss it some days, man. Like I said, I was able to book a lot of good bands, make a lot of good friends, man. Well, it's how, like I said, that's how I started jamming with Terry's. That's how I got to know him through the fest. You know what I mean? And shit like that. So it's just like, you know, it's cool, man. It was fun. It was a good moment in time, man. I'm glad it kind of ended when it is because, like I said, it just doesn't seem – I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on, man. But like I said, it's just I'm glad I don't think I would want to be doing it now. I would just be like, nah, man. I'd be a raving dick. I wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be a good time.
Right. I got one of my favorite bands I ever saw there at CIM was Infernal Revulsion that year. Just Jesus, they just blew my balls off, man. That was dude, it was just insane.
Yeah, that was the year we had to keep sitting there. He kept jumping up on the drum set.
Yeah, dude, I forgot his name, but Compile.
Like I said, that would be the type of stuff we have to deal with. That would be stressful. Like all of a sudden, it's not my shit, and someone's kicking it around, and I'm like, oh great, I'm buying
standing on the snare. Yeah.
You know, and then you try to explain you don't stand on people's drum sets.
Yeah. Shame on you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
They were pretty fucking brutal, man. They were badass.
They were. What was one of your favorite bands that you booked that you got to see play or that ever played your fest?
I'll always be known as the guy that got Impetigo back together. That'll be what I went down in history for, and I'm okay with that because man, it wasn't as hard as people. You know, I didn't pay a shitload of money. They didn't try to rate me for it. I mean, you know, and they were well aware that they could have cashed in after that, big time, and just kept playing. They had bigger, better offers than I ever offered them. But yeah, that was probably that. Dude, I've always been a really big Monstrosity fan. Man, I was like trying to think.
I love that shit with Corpse Grinder, man. They're those fucking albums. Slay.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, it was like just being able to sit there and book some good shows, man. Getting to see some good old school stuff, a good mix of everything, and
I got my first taste of Vomit Spawn in 2004.
Oh,
I love
man.
those guys. Fucking Florida grind motherfuckers, dude. I was actually on YouTube. It's weird because I remember this other thing I miss about those fests and like CIM in particular was all the vendors, dude, and just going around and buying all the fucking CDs and the DVDs. I remember I had gotten a DVD of that year, and I don't know what happened. Maybe years and years ago, I put it in my computer and hit the wrong button. I don't know if it rewrote it or some shit, but it doesn't play on anything now. So I'm like,
oh, man.
Fuck, dude. And hopefully somebody out there listening that has it can hook us up with a copy of that. It was so fucking crazy seeing those guys, man. Like and I remember getting their little CD. They fucking had that. I loved it.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, the little
tiny
one.
CD. Yeah.
I remember them shits.
And then fucking the artwork was badass. That open, it was like some fucking teacher covered in jizz or something. Yeah, I forget what the fuck it was. It's been so long, but
shit.
I mean, and those dudes were cool as fuck, dude. Like, man, like getting to see bands like that, and you know, hanging out with, you know, the homies, the regulars that you usually got to fucking see around the Midwest. You know, where there's like Mutilated Guys and the notorious fucking Brian, Syphilic Brian.
Yeah, right. I think that's where I first met you, bro. It was just down at CIM. Like you and Gormonger.
It was just a moment in time, man. It was just a moment in time where, like I said, man, we were all, you know, a lot of, you just don't see a lot. I mean, but like I said, I wouldn't even know if that's how it is now anyways, because my old ass don't get out.
It's definitely changed a little bit, you know, but it's just, it's like you say, man, it's a moment in time. It's a place in time that, you know, all three of us got to fucking live, fortunately, along with a lot of our friends, man. And
some of the best memories I've had.
I'd be a liar if I said I wouldn't want you to fucking suck it up and maybe come do a one-off sometime when all this shit's said and done.
That's what everyone's waiting for.
I'm too cheap, man. I'm too cheap. Well, and I wouldn't even know what to do. You got to be able to bring something new onto the table, and I wouldn't even know what to do. You know, man. And like I said, even after after I did the Impetigo thing, man, there just wasn't much more, man. It was getting to the point that I either had to start spending buku dollars on bands that I didn't think would draw, or keep booking the same shit, and then people are like, oh man, you're doing this again, or you know what I mean? It just, like I said, it just got to the point, man, where it's just like the stress of having to drive and do everything. And I mean, in that point in time, the last couple years of it, I lived in Milwaukee. I didn't live in Illinois, so we'd have to drive just like everybody else. I mean, yeah, my family was around there, but you know, we still had to drive like everybody else. So it took time off work, and it was, like I said, dude, it was just, you know, sometimes you got to know when to walk away, man. Like Kenny said.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey, real quick, Matt, let people know where they can find you and what you got going on, and some of your music, where they can check it out.
Well, man, I mean, you got Facebook at Horrific Demise, you know. We got fucking the Necrolytic page. Just fucking type that shit in, because I think it's Necrolytic Skin Slip. You know, why he couldn't make it easier, so it's easier for me to say.
I know, right? It always makes me think of that Broken Hope song.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
For some reason.
Yeah, right.
No, but that's the main focus, man. We've been kind of locked down, you know, man. That's the main focus right now, man. We got some shit, man. Fucking got a lot of songs in the works. So trying to get the boys back into the room, man. It's been mainly, like I said, I've been holding it up, man. I mean, well, we all have been. We've all been kind of being smart, man. You know, and you know, it's all cool, man. So we're gonna get, you know, the four of us into the room here pretty soon, you know, with, you know, guitar player Mike and stuff like that, get everybody into the room. So we're going to start hashing that out. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing, man. Trying to start, you know, hopefully this will all smooth over soon. We'll all be able to get out and about.
Fuck yeah,
for sure.
But
well, Matt, I fucking really, it's been an honor and a pleasure to kind of, you know, fucking reconnect with you, man. It's been a long time, brother. And kind of revisit some of those old times that we had at CIM and shit, and kind of get your story out there for people, because that's what we like fucking doing.
Well, it was just good to be just talking, man, having fun with everybody, man. I appreciate it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Anytime, man. Anytime you want to do this again, or you got something you want to fucking promote, you let us know.
Word, man. Peace, everybody. Good to see you, man.
Hell yeah.
You too, bro.
Peace out, brother.
Cheers.
Hey, mit